Thanks to IMAX, I had a chance to see an advanced screening of Ryan Coogler's Sinners in 70mm IMAX. Here's my non-spoiler review. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover a greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Okay, hear me out. Maybe being a vampire wouldn't be so bad. Ryan Coogler's Sinners is a winner for the horror genre and a revelation as a film that showcases the influence of blues music while also shining a light on all kinds of white devils that steal and kill souls. This movie is unapologetically bold, especially with the ending. Ryan Coogler makes a statement, and I love that he doesn't really pull back. I think it's important for the time that we're living in today to remind us of racial trauma, because this is a social horror in the same vein as Jordan Peele's Get Out. I also believe it's a spiritual cousin to Tarantino films, as it blends so many genres and explodes into madness at the very end. And the genres I'm referring to are gangster films, horror films, and also historical dramas with slavery narrative. The demeanor of the vampires was deliciously frightening while at the same time enticing, which I think was the entire point, because they really did represent this idea of evil being a temptation and how we can succumb to it if we're not careful. The whole conflict of keeping the vampires out was very engaging. I loved the emphasis of music bringing people together and creating a sense of harmony, while also showcasing the darker side of it, where music can be distorted to manipulate people as a tool. When you think of like cults and music being used for rituals, and how dangerous people can corrupt music to give others false unity and a fake spiritual awakening in order to harm others. This doesn't just happen with music, it can also happen with ideologies. And even your own people start turning on you, which is why Ryan Coogler basically says in the movie, it be your own people. Blues music is so influential to modern music today. And there's actually one scene in this movie that I thought was so cool, how it connected the past with our ancestors to the future. Michael B. Jordan's dual performances in this movie were good. Sometimes it was hard to tell who was Smoke, who was Stack. That's why I was thankful for the red or blue colors. But other than that, he was good. He carries this movie. I do feel the first half of the movie had some pacing issues leading up to the vampires. If Smoke and Stack were the main characters, I felt like maybe there should have been a little more depth to them, or we should have seen more of their backstory. Because ultimately, by the end, I felt like Sammy was actually a more interesting character with a lot of depth. And I felt like maybe the main focus really should have been on him, because when things happened for Smoke and Stack towards the end, I didn't really feel as emotionally impacted as I did with like resolution for Sammy. Lastly, I believe Ryan Coogler, through this full meal of a film, is trying to show us what it really means to be free and how we can connect with each other in what can be an ugly, cruel world where we're surrounded by evil. We're all sinners. And at points of our life, we invite evil even. There's a great line said by Sammy Preacher Boy's father, who is a priest, where he says, referring to his music, if you keep dancing with the devil, one day he's going to follow you home. Which he completely misunderstands about Sammy. Sammy's love for music and his skill to play was a gift. So I think in order to combat evil, even in temptation, God would save us.